All right, so this time we're gonna start off with getting some paint on the rest of these parts. I'll flip you around here. So I got my tie rods hung, 2-inch narrowed beam, fan shroud, cylinder tins, all my other engine tins. Then I had the trailing arms all prepped and stripped, ready to go. So all of these are gonna be white. I'm repainting this because I painted that probably 3 years ago. And it's just been kicking around kind of like a couple of these other parts. So I'm gonna get you set up here and get some color on this. I am going to put the Raptor epoxy on the trailing arms. I'll go ahead and dust these and possibly the beam. The rest of it's gonna get the industrial, kind of like the chassis did, just white. Okay, let's do it. Here it is after the epoxy. I almost forgot these. The beam, everything. I had enough in there, and it was right at the bottom of the gallon, 5 liter it actually comes. But so I just went ahead and put a coat on everything. Extra protection, extra bite. And so it worked out well. I moved the fan shroud over there because when I was blowing in the crevices, just like the pan, these had sand up in them, kind of like you get up in here and such, so it started to kind of mist a little out over the fan shroud. So now that I'm getting ready to throw down the paint on it, I'm gonna get paint on everything. That way if it drops out some, I'll hit the pieces at the bottom last. That way everything should be locked in and nothing else coming out on it from there, which at this point really shouldn't be anything anyway. All right, I got my color all mixed up in the gun. I'm gonna turn this around just so I have reference for later on. Paint code on here. It's I think they call it Fleet White. Again, I had this mixed up for something else that I was gonna do. Actually on that 66 I'm getting rid of. I got that for it, so here again, using what I got. Plus, I think it's all gonna come together nicely, and you guys will see that here pretty soon. All right, just finished putting the second coat on these. They're nice and slicked out. This stuff dries pretty darn quick too. Some people are probably gonna think I'm nuts for painting these parts white on a daily driver, but that's fine. The wife and kids are giving me crap because I painted these white and I painted like the pan on my Bandit Bug, which is 61 ragtop, if you don't know which car that is. It's all flat black, hot rod style. I painted the whole chassis white, painted my front suspension white, kind of like this. So there's some similarities, but I feel fine about it because this is gonna carry through with this theme, another black car, but I'm doing it different and I own it. So I own both cars and I'm doing them a little different, so it's fine. Now, I got my tie rod sleeves over here. And the crazy thing is I obviously didn't film my second coat on this, but you can kind of see I threw some white on the wall over here. Had that Smurf blue going on from painting that Baja, and just tired of looking at that blue. So anyway, rather than pour it out, I figured, I'll just go blow some on the wall here. So I did that. I come around on this side. I had a couple of places over here too. You can see it on the light. And I was going along and I was like, yeah, I'll just finish up here on a trim. All of a sudden, the air fitting on the bottom of this little ball here had unspun itself, but it wasn't leaking air enough like you could tell that was, and all of a sudden it just come off. So I got the air hose. I'm over here, and the doggone air hose is just whipping all crazy. And you know, full on air pressure, blowing everywhere. A little bit of dust is going to kick up because it's dry. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh no, don't get all over my parts. And it come around and I went to grab it, and before I could, it come back and kicked this stand like that. And the doggone, it hit that stand. Then it smacked the other stand. Then my tie rod sleeves fell on the ground. Ah, man, what a mess. But like I said, I got lucky because this paint dries so quick, as I've been running the heater in here, keeping the temp up, that I was actually able, for the little bit of stuff that stuck to it, to pretty much just flick it off. I took a paint stick on one part that was stuck pretty good and kind of just knocked it off there, and put another coat on there, and 90% you can't tell anything happened. There again, these are going to be under the gas tank and stuff. It's fine. Otherwise, you know, I'd have been a little more upset, but that was just crazy. It never happened before. Just full on getting down with it, and I'm just chasing it everywhere, trying to stomp it, and it was madness. Too bad I didn't have it on camera. I'm sure it would have been hilarious to watch. And at the end of the day, it didn't mess anything up here. There's a couple little nicks in these. You know, I blew paint over them. It's all good. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna clean up the gun and get the heck out of here. It's already about 9 o'clock, so. Okay, so this morning I'm coming out here and getting some more parts ready to paint. You can see that they had replaced, I was told that they had replaced the brakes, obviously the shoes, wheel cylinders, hardware kit. However, I already have new ones, so I'm not using any of this. I'm gonna give these to my friend Bruce, use on his dune buggy. So anyway, plus I am now converting this to wide 5. I got all new brake drums, everything. So the rear brakes, I have the new 65 to 67 rear brakes and wheel cylinders and all that, so I'd be changing anyway. So anyhow, I was just documenting this before I tear it down. These got sandblasted on the backside when I did the trailing arms. The fronts, this one I just popped the drum off. So we get this tore down. Also the pedal assembly, I'm gonna sandblast that so I can paint this today. And I am going to be eliminating the stock gas pedal setup. I am not a fan of this. I'm a roller pedal guy, you know. So this is all gonna go. So I'm gonna knock this stuff out, sandblast these parts, and get them painted up. And at the same time, my tie rods that had got knocked off, and then I tried to blend them in, it just didn't turn out that good, so I'm gonna do those. And here I have brand new axles. The center section of the axle I'm gonna paint white to match my tie rods, just to keep everything cohesive front to rear. So let me get that done and bring you back. All right, so I just wanted to show on here real quick. You can see how ate up all this is. And like I said, I'm going to use a roller pedal instead of the other. So what I've done is I've gone and scribed right here where the end of my brake pedal return spring would end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come basically like an early style pedal assembly and bring it down this way, and then just cut all this excess off so you don't have to look at it. I mean, it looks like crap anyway. But since there's no gas pedal there, it'd be all exposed. So I'm gonna just go and slice it across, pretty much straight across from here, and clean that all up and get rid of all this mess. All right, so here it is after I chopped that off. The spring is sticking out a little bit further past because obviously the pedals would be like laid flush on the floor right now. Spin it around here. But yeah, I just kind of rounded it all out and polished it back in like it would have been anyway. So there we go, all set up. All right, so as you can see, I got all my parts hung here on my backing plate, steering box, new axles, all of it, pedal assembly. So what I'm gonna do now, you can see I got this jet ski in here too. They had run this thing aground or slammed it into something and busted a hole in there about the size of a basketball, just about half the size of a basketball. So I've already repaired all that. Obviously that's gonna be white. These that had blown off in the last one, my air hose went wild. I'm gonna repaint those white. So axles white, these white, obviously the jet ski. Everything else is gonna be black. So what I'm gonna do is I'm trying to kill as many birds with one stone as I can. So I'm gonna mix up my epoxy right now, epoxy all of these parts, and then once that flashes off, I'm gonna spray the white, paint the ski, paint these and those. Then I'll put 2 coats of those on. Once I'm done with that, I'm just gonna snip my wires, take these axles out of here, and then I'll mix up my black, and I'll be able to paint the rest of this black without having to worry about this, because as you can see, my airflow goes from end to end. My fan's right there, so any of the black overspray will get pulled straight out. So that way I only have to clean the gun once. Well, epoxy, that's normal, but when I'm painting the white, I'm just gonna rinse it, throw my black in there, and get it all knocked out. All right, so I got epoxy on everything here. Now it's time to start mixing up some white. All right, so I'm all done painting. The axles I moved out of here, and I'll show you why. Progress, let's see here. Okay, so I had the axles. You saw though, they were standing up down here. Obviously, if I did the black, it would just overspray back over them. So I just clipped the wires. As soon as I was done painting them, took them out there. But here you go. Steering box, spindles, backing plates, trailing arms, my inspection cover for the pan, e-brake handle, all done. Turned out real nice. Jet ski turned out real good. There are scratches and gouges in here. Discuss that with the customer. If you don't know a lot about the jet skis, the more scratched up the bottom is, the better they ride. It's more of a resale thing if you want them perfect, but if you're gonna ride them all the time, the more scratched up the bottom, the better. One thing about the scratched up bottom, some say, and you can get a couple more miles an hour out of them, but the biggest thing is if you're going full speed, you want it to stay straight. If they're perfectly smooth on the bottom, they do this. And they do it when you're not wanting it to do it. So if you want to get thrown at 50 to 70 miles an hour, yeah, leave it perfect and shiny. The more scratched up, the straighter they go. And they call that chine walk, where they do this. The more scratched up, you can go faster, and it eliminates all of this. So anyway, these are all done finally. And the irony in these, I had to repaint them because this little ball filter I use on the gun, it had unscrewed the last time. Somehow or popped off. The threads were perfect. So, and that was like right at the end. This time, you can see it's all busted off of here. It made it through the whole job. But right when I walked around to go plug the air hose back in and just blow the last thinner through after I cleaned the gun, it just popped off. So thank goodness it waited till the end and didn't cost me another mess of the air hose, whoosh, and then messing up the ski and all that. So anyway, these are done. All this is done, and I got that behind me. So there we go. Okay, so today I'm gonna start assembling this pan, but first I need to lower the rear. I'm gonna shoot for about 2.5 inches because the roads around here are just getting worse and worse all the time. I really wanted this car that high off the ground, and I was gonna run it around like that, but I've gone above and beyond, and I'm not gonna trash all this work that I've done. And then I picked up a set of cadrones yesterday, so now I'm going a little bit different way on the motor instead of the pea shooters and stuff. So I have dual quiet packs, which we all know those hang down lower. So 2.5 inches is kind of the max that I'm gonna go and still be able to drive this thing. So I went ahead and just unbolted the cover. I set it down right here. I may show more of it when I go to the other side, but check out that bushing. That thing is toast. And then the inner one, you can see it there too. I have new urethane ones to put in here, so I'll be replacing those obviously. Anyway, so I'm gonna come in here. I just wanted to kind of show the bearing or the bushing wear. These are some of the worst that I've ever seen. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this re-indexed, and then I'll bring it back and let you know what I did. Okay, so here's what I ended up with. You can see I got the new bushing in there, and I had to beat it in there, but it's all greased up real good and everything. So when I put my angle finder on here to begin with, I was at 19 degrees, and now I'm at 10 degrees. But I did one inner spline, just rotated it up one. So that should give me about, I think it said 2.6, so roughly just 2.5 inch drop, which should be perfect. So now I got the cover all greased up with the new bushing in it, get it on here, get it tightened up, and move to the other side. Okay, so now that I've got the rear lowered and the bushings in, I started laying out my parts here. I got my axle seal kits, new inner and outer bearings for the stub axles in the rear, shift coupler, shift rod bushing, clutch cable, heater cables. These are the beam bushings for the front. I just started grabbing stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead right now, just because I felt like it was quick. I went ahead and pulled out the old cables because I had one broken on this side. So I'm gonna run the new heater cables, and then I'm gonna clean up all my hardware that goes in here to mount my trailing arms and all these here, get those all prepped, and then I'll get these installed. All right, so I will note that where it threads in here, so the nuts are inside of the rear frame horn, I did go ahead and goop that up good with anti-seize, as well as obviously the threads on the bolt all the way around real well. And then this part of the shaft where the trailing arm bushing pivots on it, I went ahead and coated all of the inside of that real well, so this one will just slip in, keep it a little bit cleaner, try to keep the mess down. So let's see if we can get this to go together without too much trouble. And I left these original bushings, which here you can see the goop in there now, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with these at all. And as most of us know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the new stuff surely isn't as good as the old stuff. All right, let's see how this is gonna go. All right, so I just installed these new KYB shocks. I have the gas adjust on here. I have in the past lowered it even more than this. So like say this was just one notch, about 2.5 inches, do two, and then come back and put coilovers on here, the adjustable coilovers, and get a real nice ride out of that. Still sit low, but a real nice ride. This one I just decided to go this route instead. So anyhow, I got those installed. Just went ahead and pulled the shift rod out. You can see how wasted that bushing was. There's not much of it, just kind of deteriorating here, the clip. So I'm gonna get this all polished back out, greased, new bushing in. Here's the shift coupler. Obviously another really wore out. It's super soft and squishy. You can see I'm just squishing it in there like nothing. So with that, let's see, where do I have it here? I have a new urethane one. Just put it in once, be done with it. However, I always reuse the original housing and I almost always just throw this one away. Had issues with them in the past, don't even try them anymore. I guess if you had to use it, you could use it, but this is just how I do it. So I will push these bushings out, clean this up, paint it, and get these installed and put in the new shift rod bushing in the hanger here. All right, now she's got the shift rod all polished out, nice finish on it. Even got the shifter area all cleaned out, no grease, grime, or anything in there. So now we'll get it greased up and put it back in. All right, so before I put this bushing in, obviously you have to put this spring clip on. And the easiest way that I've found to do it is basically where these two halves come together, I just squeeze it, kind of roll it in under on itself so that I can take the clip and just stick it over. So try to get this to focus, squeeze it, roll it under, take this clip, pop it over, and let it come back, like so. And then I'll put a little grease on here, and then this groove right here, the center one, which I know it's having a hard time focusing, at least it looks like it is. This is the one that sits inside of the tunnel. And I'm not sure if I can get a good view of that or not. Okay, so right here you can see at the very back, right back here, that's the hanger that this bushing is gonna sit in. So now I'll go ahead and install this before the shift rod, obviously. So let me go ahead and do that now. It's another one of those things where you could use longer fingers or extra hand or whatever to get it to go. There we go. Okay, now it is in, and you know it's in when you can kind of move it around in the groove, up and down, side to side, but then if you hook it with your finger, it will not go forward and backwards. Okay, all right. See, we got it greased up real good. So, Addison, start feeding this.
In?
Yep. Just go straight, but keep it kind of high. Lift it up, because I need to go back here to grab it. No, you're pushing down.
I'm trying to lift it up, but I don't know how to lift
Keep
it
going.
up.
Push. Keep going.
You feel it?
Not yet. Stop. All right. Let's see. It's way down in there. Push down on it. Addison, push down.
You see it? You got it now?
Let's see. Gotta get it to go through there. This is the hard part. I'm trying to get it to go through that. Let's get that against the wall. It doesn't like it. Just slip through it. Alright, so there it is. All installed. Everything all coated in grease so it won't rust. And now it's pretty much to the point where I'm gonna get it off this rotisserie. All right, so as you can see, I got all my parts laid out, ready to start getting this thing up and rolling. So the next thing I'm gonna do, I just pulled the tape off. I gotta come in here, clean all that old nasty grease, and gonna put new seals, bearings, everything in here, both sides. Okay, so I just started here. You see I popped the seal out and the spacer. And then don't forget, you see up in the top here, that there's a snap ring behind this bearing. So you gotta remember to take that out before you start driving that bearing out. Okay, bearings are all packed, ready to go. Okay, so now you can see that I have my seal all in, my little spacer in here. Next thing I'm gonna do is I have the axle spacer here. Got it all cleaned and greased. I'm gonna go ahead and just go ahead and take this and start putting it through so that I can get this installed. Stick in here. Go ahead and install this and just keep it in place, and then I'm gonna drive this outer bearing in. All right, you can see I got these all polished up nice. I already got my new seals pressed in, got my hardware all cleaned. I'm gonna take some of this Honda Bond and smear it on these gaskets before I put them on and get this installed. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and torque these, and they're supposed to be 43 foot-pounds. All right, now I'll just take my inner spacer and put that in. Put a little bit of grease on the outside of this here. Just a little bit. Okay, so I just wanted to throw this in here. You can see I just got like a quick mock-up. This stuff's just sitting in here. I had the shoes attached here, the wheel cylinder bolted in, the adjusters all the way in, just to have all this hardware. So everything in here right now is correct for a 69. So it's got the wider shoes. And what I'm doing, because I'm converting this to wide 5 now, these are, you know, like 66, 67 rear drums. Now, I measured from this inner lip to the outer lip, from this one to the four-lug one, and it appeared to be exactly the same. So, I wanted to do a little trial and error here to see if, now my little spacer is out because it's got grease on it, wants to stick every time. But this, like I said, this is just to show you. So I can put this on, doing just one hand here, get it to line up, there we go. So, and this side likes to stick. There we go. Okay, so you can see it's all the way on. Obviously, the solution for the short snout drums is you put this on just like you would with a disc brake kit, and then when you put your axle nut on, it all lines up where it's supposed to. So, that's just snug, but you can see it spins fine. Now, you can see that the drum is all the way back. Now, so that, a reason I wanted to test this is because you know how it is trying to find information on the internet. You get half yes, half no on any question. So I wanted to make sure whether I could run my 69 brakes with these drums, or I had to run the 65 to 67 skinnier rear brake shoes and wheel cylinders. So I did this, spun, I was like, all right, nothing's hitting yet. But as soon as I put the impact on here and snug this down even just a little bit, it locked right up. It was hitting the edges of the shoes and everything because it's sticking out too far. So if you're gonna do this conversion, and this is the cheapest way of doing it, if you're already replacing the brakes. If not, and you don't want to mess with any of your brake system, you will have to buy the Thing drums, which are anywhere from 150 to 200 bucks a piece. So these drums, I think I paid less than 50 bucks a piece for them. And they are, you know, true balanced, whatever. They came with this black factory coating on it, you know, rust preventative coating, all that. They're real nice. Got these on Rock Auto. All 4 of these drums and the front wheel bearing races, Timken brand, inners, outers, all the seals, and then the seals for back here, it was like $280 to the door, tax, shipping, everything. So can't beat that deal. I mean, and that's, like I said, that's all 4 of these wide 5 drums, the front bearings, seals, all of it. So now I'll have to pull this back off, and this is from me tapping on it here because there was a couple little nicks in the splines on this axle, so I had to kind of file them and stuff to get them to clear, and it would go so far and then it would grab it and then I had to tap it back off. So anyway, I'm gonna pull this off and put the 65 to 67 rear brakes in here. I wanted to check this too before I went ahead and put the pin and the little horseshoe clip through for the e-brake lever, you know, and get all of that done when I knew that it was very likely I was gonna have to run the earlier brakes, but I wanted to double check to make sure, because if I could run the bigger brakes and I already have it, why not? All right, I'll bring it back after I get all that fixed. All right, so as you can see, this side's all put back together with the 65 to 67 wheel cylinder shoes. But these are the 69 backing plates, the same e-brake arm. Obviously, I got brand new hardware all throughout, which I bought the hardware kit for the 65 to 67, but it's basically the same anyway, because as you saw, I used these on the other shoes, etc. So it would have worked on both. I'm running the ATE wheel cylinders, master cylinder, and everything on this one. Brand new e-brake cables. You can see I even bought the original clips to put back. Taking my time with the paint detail stuff, just like right in here where the e-brake comes in. The clip and bolt and everything are all painted. So even though this is going to be a driver, I'm still taking my time cleaning and painting all the hardware. Just, you know, better than new kind of a thing. All right, well, now I'm going to go over here and finish assembling that. And then I think from there, I'm going to move to the front because I need, before I worry about running all the brake lines and stuff, I just need this thing to be able to have the wheels be put on and moved around, because I need this space for working on stuff that pays, not takes money. Well, I took this apart, cleaned it, tried greasing it, and it doesn't feel that great. So I'm not even gonna go down this road with this one. I thought the way that it felt, that, you know, I'd be able to clean it out, grease it, and it'd be smooth as silk. And it's not. You can kind of feel the bearings kind of bind a little bit, you know, kind of chunk, 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 chunk in a couple of places. So I'm done with that one. Plus, as we've seen so far with the build on this car's got miles on it. I mean, quite a bit of mileage. So if I'm doing everything else to the same level that I am currently, you know, pretty much all new, why would I go and put a wore out steering box on it? All right, so I'm gonna end this video right here. Like I say, I'm gonna wait for the new steering box to come. Should be in next week. I'm just gonna slap the wheels and stuff on this on the rear and roll it out of here so I can have this space to work in on other things. I've got a car waiting to come in here right now. So I'm gonna get this shifted over and then get on to that. So as you can see, the build continues. We're getting there, doing it the right way. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, hit the like button, notifications, comments, all that kind of good stuff, and I'll see you next time.